So, back at the 2012 National KOTESOL Conference with longtime chat visitor, KOTESOLer, and language educator extraordinaire, Sara Davila. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm doing great. Now, Sarah's always involved in various aspects of teacher training and publication. We haven't spoken with you in, I think, at least a year. What has your past year of learning them involved?
My past year, I've done a lot of writing in the last year. I've spent a lot of time, I've been doing a lot of work with a company with Carl Desheimer, with education designers. And we've been working on a couple of different series.
Including, we were speaking with Dusty before about the English Central textbook. Your name was on the cover, yes?
I wrote two textbooks, or the English Central textbooks, and I wrote, last year I wrote altogether 8 books. So 6 of them were for a series we're working on for International Baccalaureate readers called the Global Journey series. And the purpose of that is it's not really about International Baccalaureate so much as giving teachers who are not teaching in an IB school access to that kind of inquiry-driven approach that they can use in their classroom with students. And so we created these resource books that teachers could use to do that. And that was 6 of those. And then we had the English Central series. We did 2 books for that, what we call our practical level, which is for sort of high beginner level. I would say it's like university freshman level. And then we have the English Central Pro, which is geared towards kind of an academic business class, but it's kind of a pre-intermediate level of language use. And then using the English Central videos, but giving teachers access to those videos in the classroom. So you're not going to have a class where you just sit and watch the videos. We wanted to have a class where we cover those skills our students need, the speaking, communication, listening, thinking, thought, ideas. That's what we did with that series to make it much more accessible to a teacher working in a classroom.
Have you been involved at all in the implementation of these textbooks? Have you heard any feedback? Have you thoughts for the revised edition?
We're working, actually, have a focus group next weekend for teachers who've been teaching with it right now, and they're going to come and meet us next weekend in Seoul, and we're going to ask them how it's been going, what they think of the books, and all of that will be used to revise the series that we're working on. And we're also we talk a lot to the teachers. We just did a survey. So far, the feedback has been really good. A couple of tweaking things that we need to do.
For example?
One of the things that the teachers wanted us to work on was the number of units, the numbers of videos per unit. So it's like we're trying to figure out. It was really interesting. We asked our teachers, did you have enough lessons? Did you have enough video content? And did you have enough units? Or was it too much, too little, or too few? And I learned about survey making from a friend of mine, and it's called they're these questions you ask called Goldilocks questions when you do a survey. And so you ask the question is like, was it much too much, much too little, or much too few? Is how you word the question. And so in our Goldilocks question...
Is there it's just right option?
It's just right, just the right amount. For that Goldilocks question, we found that the teachers felt that the numbers of videos were appropriate. And we have 4 videos in each of our units, but they thought that we had too many activities. So I'm trying to figure out how to balance those two things, because if I keep the same number of videos but reduce the number of activities, I don't know what we're going to do. So hopefully next week the focus group will answer some of those questions for me. But overall, the teachers so far have been very satisfied, and it's a really great opportunity for the students to get online, to use the English Central website. They can go home and study with the material that they've been using in class. The book, for what I did, was provide a comprehension-based element for that series. So they can do the self-study at home where they're working on listening, their speaking, their pronunciation just by themselves with a computer. And then they get into the classroom and we focus on the communication and comprehension, and that was what we wanted to do with that.
8 books in a year is... That's a fair amount of writing. To share a little bit of the life of a textbook writer, like, I don't know, just tell us about the process. When do you do your best work? Are you up at 2 a.m. cranking them out, or 6 a.m.? Like, what does it look like?
I think it depends on the textbook writer. I keep a really regular schedule for myself. I find if I don't, I write all the time. So I get up around 6, have breakfast, and then I go to a coffee shop. And then I basically stay at the coffee shop until about 3 in the afternoon, and then I head home.
How many coffees do you drink?
I drink a lot of coffee.
So, okay, one of the magic ingredients is caffeine.
Well, I don't. Can I promote the coffee shop?
Sure.
I go to Holly's Coffee because they have a $1.05 refills. So if you get the mug and you stay there, you can get a refill for like $1, and it's like, yes. So I usually get the grande, and then when I finish that tub of coffee, I go and get another one. And yeah.
And you're that's where you're doing your writing.
I do most of my writing there.
I just want to check in with Peggy to see if she has any questions yet. Well, she's never known a textbook writer personally. This is very exciting. I'm curious why you would choose to write in a public social place as opposed to the quiet and solitude of your desk.
I need a little bit of stimulation. So I find that if I'm just sitting at home and writing, I have more trouble focusing. It's too quiet. It's too easy to get distracted by things because when you're writing a textbook, a lot of it is trying to find a way to do something everyone has done before in a way that no one has done it before. So it's a lot of idea generation, and in EFL especially, we didn't want to create a textbook that was just comprehension, like a reading comprehension question or a listening comprehension question. We really wanted to take it further and add this very creative, communicative aspect to it. And so in order to do that, to make it really interesting, it has to be relevant to your learner. It has to be... I was actually thinking, I'm writing and more. I'm not done. And I'm in the middle of writing another book, and I was looking at one of the activities, and what I wanted my students to do, it's a task-based learning activity. And it was, I'm having trouble, like the unit is really about, what makes us who we are. And so I was thinking, well, okay, maybe if the students they work together as a group and they design a class for like an after-school camp, and then they have to create the elements of the class. And I was actually looking at that page today after it had gone to my layout and design person. I sent it back to me, and I realized that, it's interesting to me as an educator, but for a learner in the classroom, I don't think that activity would be very interesting. It's not relevant for their experience. So then now I have to kind of like rethink it, like how can I make this more interesting or relevant for the students who are going to use it? And I think when I'm doing that in a room by myself and there's just nothing else going on, I just can't focus on it. But in a coffee shop, you have to force yourself to concentrate because there is so much going on and there's so much happening.
There's external stimuli creeping into your thoughts. How much needs analysis do you do if you're creating a book for freshman university students? Do you go drinking with a bunch of freshmen and get ideas?
For needs analysis, a lot of it's from experience. So I did teach university for 2 years, which helped. But with these books we kind of surveyed the professors who were using the website to see what they needed and how they were using it. And then we went from there to do the actual book. So it's a lot of it is just like looking at the current trends in EFL education. For this particular series, I spent about 3 weeks researching trends in EFL, trends in video language teaching, the pedagogical approach of video teaching that's being explored in the Middle East and also in South America and how they're using it, looking at different types of receptive skills versus speaking skills, and then looking at what university professors want. And there was a lot of research that went into kind of coming up with the concept of how I wanted to do that book. So,
if I can just throw a question out to our cameraman, Kim Hong, who is an English major here at this university, and you can have a moment to think about it. Which textbooks that you've used a lot of English textbooks, I'm sure, which have been most engaging or interesting, and why? Think about that for a moment. We'll get back to you. So, anything else to share about the life of a textbook writer?
Aside from coffee, let's see. I think with writing textbooks, I have a writing partner who I occasionally work with. His style is not to wear pants. He works from home. He likes to work in his pajamas, and he'll work whatever hours he wants to. And I like to go to a coffee shop and kind of get out of the house and do it. So I think it really just kind of depends on your style. And
that might be a nice new cover shot for your website. You in the coffee shop behind your keyboard. All right, Kim Hong, time for your answer. favorite textbooks in your English learning career?
It's not a textbook, just I've read a fairy tale story English book, and it was very interesting to me because when I was maybe elementary school student, I read the book, so I had an interest in English. I think that was
So authentic reading materials, like extensive, yeah. Why don't you like most tech, or what don't you like about some of the textbooks you've used?
I don't like grammar books.
You would like my textbook, no grammar. We actually, that was one of the things with English Central which made it so interesting is it's all authentic videos. So it's nothing is canned or it's not designed for teaching English.
Did you? Because I introduced English Central to Kim Hong's class,
Yeah.
but it was optional. Did you look at English Central? You did. What was your impression? Why did you choose to use it or not? Skimming that.
See, with the book, you can avoid the skimming because there are things to do in the classroom. So that's good.
I want to segue to your teacher training part of your life. Are you still doing teacher training?
I'm doing teacher training. I actually have I'm doing what we call a best practices School of International TESOL training course in July. So it's a 2.5 week. It's a spiral model. So we'll have about 30 teachers roughly training with us.
What does a spiral model mean?
Spiral model means it's a 5-week course, and we break it up into 2 sections. So they'll have 2.5 weeks in the summer and 2.5 weeks in the winter to finish.
Why is that a spiral?
I'm not sure why they call it a spiral, but they call it the spiral. Well, it starts off now, and then during their semester, they're going to review everything that they've learned in this 2.5 weeks, and then they kind of prepare for the last 2.5 week session for the fall, and then in the fall they finish it out. So it's kind of like they get the introduction, then they go back and they review that as they go through the semester, and then they finish it out.
It's a cool name. I just don't know if it's that appropriate. Are you still involved in EPIC training? And EPIC is the what is EPIC? English program, which is bringing lots of native English teachers to the public schools of Korea.
We just had in February. Yes, in February we did our big EPIC intake training. It's getting smaller right now, so we have the next training is coming up in August, and we're looking at about 4 or 5 days of training instead of the 8 days that we've had, and so a smaller group as well.
Smaller, because I ask you this every time because there's lots of talk in Korea about the foreigners aren't worth it. We bring them into our schools and they have no teaching background and they have very little linguistic skills, and why are we wasting our money? We've got more and more Korean teachers who have quite good English skills.
I do still think that there's a lot of merit to the EPIC program, and I know personally because I've watched that program develop. Right now they're concentrating on bringing in teachers who have at least TESOL certifications and some experience teaching. So we're bringing in a lot more experienced teachers with EPIC, but they definitely have reduced the numbers. I think the students the advantage of having an EPIC teacher at your school is that you are going to have English education in your actual public school time that's going to be focused on more than just test taking, because EPIC teachers are there to help with communicative, and a lot of Korean teachers focus very heavily on the tests and kind of lose that. And again, the EPICs, I think one of the advantages of the EPIC program, which I think has been kind of lost sight of, is that a lot of the EPIC teachers also offer low-cost after-school. So parents were getting a an after-school program that ran for close to 4 months, and they only had to pay 25,000 won for it. By reducing the number of EPIC teachers, you're going to end up with a lot of students who still want to have that after-school study time, and are now going to have to find a way to do that without the low-cost option of the EPIC teachers. So I think it's a great program. I don't know how much longer it will be going on, and as long as I can continue to work with it, I absolutely intend to do so. Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about?
I had like so much work and everything else going on. I don't know.
Anything else about Dusty? Dusty's over there.
Yeah, I noticed Dusty. He's good to work with. He's understanding about the coffee shop. He keeps me in coffee. He's very good about that.
And occasionally in wine.
And occasionally in wine. big wine fans. Australian wines. I do not understand why in America I only have to pay $8 for a very good bottle of Australian wine, but in Korea it's about $45. It's boggling to me because we're so close to Australia.
What's your favorite bottle of wine under 10,000 won?
Favorite bottle under 10,000? Is it on sale? I like. There are two. There's it's Los Tempino, which you can sometimes get at Home Plus for 3 for $20. That's a good one. Sunrise Cremeren is a really nice Chilean wine out of Cogla Valley in Chile. It's a very good one. I'm very fond of Cogla in Central Valley in Chile.
I'm partial to G7. You get it for $6,900 at E-Mart, and Gato Negro, if you can get it on sale for about $10,000, it's quite decent. All right, well, on that note, perhaps we should let you go and enjoy the rest of the conference and evening ahead.
You know where we can get a bottle?
Always a pleasure. Never hard to find things to talk about.
Thanks so much for having me. Thank you for the almonds.
If you here, take a parting gift.
And thank you to Peggy, who's...
Yeah, Peggy. Oh, we should check in with Peggy. See. Sorry.
Does Peggy have any questions?
Dave, you know David Warlock? He's a ed tech, very well-known person, and he has people donate to a Starbucks card.
Okay. Oh, how interesting.
Yeah.
That's
all sorts of possibilities.
I definitely need people to support my coffee habit. Well, anyway, thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, I appreciate it. All right.